Getting started. The greatest misconception about service marketing and a free association test. Most people, including most people in business, will equate the word marketing with selling and advertising, pushing the goods. In this popular view, marketing means taking what you have and shoving it down buyers' throats. We need better marketing invariably means we need to get our name out with ads, publicity, and maybe some direct mail. Unfortunately, this focus on getting the word outside distracts companies from the inside, and from the first rule of service marketing. The core of service marketing is the service itself. I am not suggesting that if you build a better service, the world will be your path to your door. Many better services are foundering because of rotten marketing. Nor am I suggesting that getting the word out is enough. Getting the word out and attracting people to a flawed service is the preferred strategy for killing a service company. This is what I am saying. The first principle of service marketing is Guy Kawasaki's first principle of computer marketing: get better reality. Better reality in your service will make marketing easier, cheaper, and more profitable. In fact, some companies have improved their reality so much they can almost eliminate the getting the word out part of their marketing plans. The first step in service marketing is your service. A world on hold. For years we've heard this is a cold, hard world. What makes us think that? It's not our family, friends, or neighbors. We get this idea from dealing with services. We get it from calling a public television station in New York, which puts us on hold for 6 minutes before it tells us, electronically, to call back. All lines are busy. We get it from the credit card company that sends a replacement card 3 months late. We get it from the Minneapolis printer who promises an estimate by noon Thursday, and doesn't call until the following Monday. My experiences in just the last 3 weeks. Will Beckwith, age 10, says it perfectly: too often, service sucks. Service quality has sunk so low that if no one complains about your service, you shouldn't feel good. Most people have given up complaining. Why has service gotten so bad? It is partly because companies cannot show precisely that investing more in improving service, whether in training, salaries, or increased staffing, will earn them more. To improve their profits, companies squeeze costs by squeezing their service until someone, usually a client, screams. Think of the times when you have received extraordinary service. How much more did you end up spending with that company? How many people did you tell about your experience? How much did they spend? No, you cannot get a precise figure, but it is a huge figure. And it's all in that company's bank. First, before you write an ad, rent a list, dash off a press release, fix your service. The Le Quobegon effect: overestimating yourself. The average American thinks he isn't, someone once said. Psychologists have proved it. We think we're better than we are. When researchers asked students to rate their ability to get along with others, 60% rated themselves in the top 10%. 94% of university professors say they are doing a better job than their average colleague. Most men think they are good looking. Our illusions of superiority are so widespread that psychologists have come up with a name for it. They call it the Le Quobegon effect, after Garrison Keillor's famous radio show sign-off from his fictional hometown, Le Quobegon, where the women are strong, the men are good looking, and all of the children are above average. Being human, everyone in your company suffers from the Le Quobegon effect, too. You think you are better than you are, and that your service is better than it is. Service in this country is so bad that you can offer above average service and still stink. By definition, the odds are that you're average. Assume your service is bad. It can't hurt, and it will force you to improve. Those cartoons aren't funny. You've seen the quality, service, price, pick one signs, and the you want it when? Cartoons. Not surprisingly, it's the worst services that are most likely to display these cartoons. When I see these cartoons, which suggests that customers expect too much, I always tell the clerk, I'm going to talk to a couple other places before I decide. But I have decided. I'm not coming back. If you decide that you cannot offer quality, speed, and price, you're not trying hard enough. How can McDonald's deliver spotless restrooms and world-class French fries in 50 seconds for 79 cents? Forget the excuses, and remember McDonald's. Let your clients set your standards. In many service businesses, the industry, not the client, defines quality. Consider advertising, law, and architecture, for example. In advertising, when most creative people say, "That's a really good ad," they don't mean that the ad might build the client's business. They just mean that it has a good headline, good visual, it's good. Neat. Cool. Lawyers think the same way. They'll say, "That's a really good brief." Never mind that the brief was equally effective for the client $5,000 earlier. And never mind that the brief covers an issue that might have been avoided entirely through good lawyering. Many architects treasure buildings that are enormously inconvenient for the people who work inside. Still, architects call them great buildings. Quality service produced them. Ask, who is setting your standards? Your industry, your ego, or your clients? Bad news, you are competing with Walt Disney. I stride into a coffee shop one morning, hopeful. 4 people are in line, but I decide I can bear that. Unfortunately, nothing is in line behind the counter. A server hands customer 1 a large decaf. The customer had asked for a small regular. The other server is flirting with customer 2. It's touching and nostalgic to me, but not entertaining enough to make me overlook the delay. 4 minutes later, I get my large latte. 20 years ago, I might have accepted that delay. 20 years ago, I also accepted dress rooms carpeted with wet paper towels, waiters wearing catsup-stained aprons and chewing bazooka bubble gum, and 10-day delivery from catalogs. Then McDonald's came along and raised everyone's standards for restrooms, better restaurants raised our expectations of waiters, and Federal Express raised our standards for catalog delivery. Those services changed our expectations forever. Now we expect cleaner restrooms, faster services, and more attentive waiters. More people every day have experienced extraordinary service. Many have seen Disney World. They know how clean, friendly, and creative service can be. They have seen world-class service, and now every service has to accept it. Printers, for one wretched example, cannot expect their customers to tolerate service that meets printing industry standards if those industry standards fall below customers' expectations, which they routinely do. The printer's customers have been to Disney World, and that experience has raised their expectations. A service that does not jump to meet these rising expectations will have a small revolution and a customer exodus on its hands. Ignore your industry's benchmarks, and copy Disney's. The butterfly effect. In 1963, meteorologist Edward Lorenz announced a stunning conclusion. For decades, people had viewed the universe as a large machine in which causes matched effects. People presumed that big causes had big effects, and little causes produced little effects. Lorenz doubted this. The question posed to Lorenz sounded strange but simple: could the flap of a butterfly's wings in Singapore affect a hurricane in North Carolina? After considerable study, Lorenz answered yes. Lorenz's postulation of what is now called the butterfly effect was one of several findings in the last 20 years that reflect the unpredictability of everything: weather, the likely outcome of direct marketing programs, and the distant but often enormous effects of tiny causes. One group of people was not surprised by Lorenz's discovery, however. Those people had seen the butterfly effect at work every day. They were careful observers of service companies, a world where tiny efforts often produce enormous, though sometimes distant, effects. Remember the butterfly effect. Tiny cause, huge effect. A butterfly named Roger on September 16, 1993, A Minneapolis man remembered that Dayton's suit department had promised they would have his summer weight jacket repaired and ready by that afternoon. The executive approached the register and was quickly met by an energetic dark-haired clerk named Roger Azam. "I'm here for the jacket," the executive said. 3 minutes later Azam returned from alterations with bad news. "Sorry, not ready." The executive had barely started to complain that his heart was set on getting the jacket when Roger disappeared, shouting, "Be right back." Almost as quickly, Roger returned. "They will do it right now and have the jacket in 5 minutes, I promise," he said. The customer reacted as most people would. He was touched. Actually, he was more than touched. The clerk had gone so far out of his way that the customer now felt indebted to him. While the customer waited, he started walking through 3 aisles of sports jackets. He spotted a handsome brown herringbone Hugo Boss jacket with a matching price tag, $575. Naturally, the story ends with the executive buying the $575 jacket, but not only that. He also had to buy a $110 pair of black slacks and a $55 brown, black, and white striped tie to match them. In seconds, a tiny flap of a butterfly's wings, Roger Azam's 5-minute dash up to alterations, created a $740 sale. Not to mention the value of all the publicity Dayton's is getting here right now for Roger's gesture. The morning after that sale, the senior buyer in Dayton's men's suits department reviewed the sales figures on his computer screen. "I sold another of those Hugo Boss jackets," he complimented himself, crediting his shrewd buying and understanding of his customers. But Dayton's buyer did not sell the jacket. Roger Azam did, with a gesture almost as tiny as the flap of a butterfly's wings. Be a Roger, and hire Rogers. Flap your wings. To as an opportunity. Roger Azam's story has another moral that many service marketers overlook. Even though effective service marketing starts with outstanding service does not mean 0 defects. In Roger's case, Dayton's service actually had a gross defect. Dayton's had not delivered when promised. But Dayton's profited more from its mistake than it would have profited from perfect quality and 0 defects. At least $740 more. Dayton's profited because Roger's customer knew that to err is human, and judged Dayton's and Roger by what he did after he noted the error. What do you do after you err? Do you pass the buck or talk fast, both of which fool almost no one and make matters worse? Or do you take the hit and fix the problem in a way that says, "Yo, you really matter to us, and we will get this right for you"? Ask Roger. Big mistakes are big opportunities. The ad writing acid test. A quick but revealing story. 10 years ago. The Pillsbury Mansion near the Minneapolis Institute of Arts. Chuck Henderson and I are sitting in his second-floor office admiring the Institute and ignoring Chuck's office walls. Those walls are covered with our ideas for an ad. After 2 days, our creative director notices the stench and boldly enters Chuck's office. Then he mumbles and leaves. The next day he returns. He sees we haven't progressed. He says something I still remember vividly. "If it's this hard to write the ad, the product is flawed." It's true. If you cannot write a reasonably good ad for your service, an ad that makes an attractive promise to your prospect, your service needs fixing. Write an ad for your service. If after a week your best ad is weak, stop working on the ad and start working on your service. The crash of Delta Flight 1985-95. In 1981, Tom Peters went in search of excellence and found Delta Airlines, the masters of customer service. If you ever flew Delta, you probably agreed with Peters's assessment. Delta people did flash the warmest smiles, they made you feel like smiling back. Delta owned the better service mousetrap, and, with Peters's books, the airline now had $500 million in free advertising. What happened? Delta continued to master service but flunk marketing. Delta's executives napped while American Airlines introduced its Sabre electronic reservations system. This innovation was so well received that some experts opined that American could shut down its airline, devote its entire business to the Sabre system, and earn more profit than Delta's entire airline operation. When price wars came, Delta failed to communicate clearly about its discounts. Rather than try to decipher Delta's discounts, many travel agents directed their customers to other airlines. Delta failed to communicate clearly in advertising, too. Apart from talking about its excellent service, something for which the airline already was well known, Delta's advertising communicated so poorly that it cost more than it made. Delta failed marketing, and soon Delta was failing, too. Despite a reputation for devotion to its employees, the company was forced to furlough pilots. It cut routes. It laid off more people. Delta appeared to be in free fall. At this writing, Delta's nose still has not come up. Delta focused on customer service. It delivered service second to none. Today, that focus has flown Delta to the brink of disaster. Yes, service is the heart of service marketing. But the heart alone cannot keep a service alive. Marketing is the brains of service marketing. If the brain fails, the heart soon will fail. Getting better versus getting different. The service and total quality bandwagons have raced through America's businesses, and millions have jumped aboard. But the swirling dust from the bandwagons has obscured some writers' view of what makes a service business thrive. America's great service successes are not the companies that did what others did, but a little better. They are the companies that decided to do things a whole lot differently. McDonald's did more than refine the classic American drive-in. McDonald's took a radical, meticulously orchestrated, incredibly process-driven approach to delivering good quality at great speed for a remarkably low price. Federal Express did more than refine mail delivery. It invented a thoroughly radical, logistically brilliant, and remarkably well-executed method for delivering packages over great distances at enormous speeds. Citicorp did more than refine American banking. It pioneered the use of automated teller machines, became the first bank to aggressively market credit cards, an innovation now widely adopted and taken for granted, became the first company to utilize fully electronic funds transfers and the first to introduce floating rate notes, and perhaps most significantly, essentially invented negotiable certificates of deposit, which quickly became second only to checking account deposits as a source of funds for financial institutions. And H&R Block, Charles Schwab, money market mutual funds, overnight computer delivery, Hyatt legal services, and dozens of other incredibly successful services did not simply improve incrementally on existing ideas. They made radical departures. Yet despite these great success stories, if you sit in almost any planning session in any business, you quickly recognize that unless some company renegade argues against it, the purpose of that meeting is simple: let's look at what we did last year, and do at least 15% better. 15% better works fine, for a time. That time comes when another company comes along and does business 100% differently. If you are in an industry with good margins, that enterprising company will come along, and it will make your nights very long. It has happened in entire industries that fail to innovate. Banks have ceded their historical dominance of finance to insurance companies, mutual fund managers, pension funds, and credit unions. Architects have surrendered large chunks of their business to project management firms. Lawyers are in peril from new companies that offer alternative dispute resolution at much lower fees. Advertising agencies have been bitten from every direction, including by Hollywood agents. The erosion in each of these industries started in those planning sessions at which everyone looked around and said, "How can we do it 15% better?" Don't just think better, think different. The first rule of marketing planning, unless warned otherwise: the people responsible for marketing a service almost always will take up where they left off the last time they thought about marketing. Everyone will assume that the company is in the right business, basically organized in the right way, and staffed as it should be staffed, give or take a few thorns in everyone's side. And everyone's focus for marketing for the year immediately will turn to how do we sell this? Instead, everyone should start at ground zero. They should ask, is this viable anymore? Is this what the world wants? Have we added capabilities or skills that suggest that we should enlarge our scope to serve new markets? Should we develop or acquire related skills and capabilities? Or should we narrow our scope and leverage these specialized skills and services we are developing to prospects looking for those specialties? Whatever questions you ask, you should consistently follow the first rule of marketing planning: always start at zero. The possible service. Want a good model for marketing your service in the 90s? Study the evolution of the automobile industry. The first car met only some minimum standards because that is what products and services do in stage 1 of any industry. In stage 1, meeting acceptable minimum standards is the driving force. Get a basic, acceptably reliable product. Buyers accept this minimal product, the first car, the first VCR, and the first fast food restaurant, because they desire the unique benefits it offers. Buyers will accept with that good some bad, typically, the fact that bugs aren't out and the price is high. In the auto industry's first stage, we had any color so long as it was black and a product that got you there, and nothing more. Stage 1 in an industry, then, is product driven. Stage 1 companies offer their clients the accepted product. In stage 2, competitors enter. Differentiation of this core product becomes vital. Enter the marketers. They listen and make the refinements the customers ask for: more colors, an ashtray so that drivers can smoke, and later an AM/FM radio. Answering customer needs is the driving force during stage 2 of an industry. Stage 2 is market driven. Stage 2 companies offer their clients the desired product. Few companies enter stage 3. These companies are in the pantheon of the marketing gods: the Disneys, Federal Expresses, and Lexuses. Disney entered this stage when it created amusement parks that went beyond what customers said they needed, or could have imagined. Stage 3 is the phase that several car manufacturers entered when they created heated car seats, stereo consoles that slant toward the driver instead of facing the middle, and compact car trunks more spacious than those on many luxury cars. In this stage, clients' expectations and expressed needs no longer drive the market. Surveys asking how could we improve? No longer produce useful data. The customers have run out of ideas. To differentiate itself clearly from the many competitors who are meeting its clients' expressed needs, the stage 3 company must make a leap. It must surprise the customer. Surprising the customer is the driving force in stage 3 of an industry. Stage 3, as a result, is imagination driven, and a company in this stage offers the possible service. Most services are treading water somewhere in the middle of stage 2. Many of those firms, particularly many professional services, are still straddling stage 1 and 2. Every service company must look at stage 3, that is where glory, fame, and market share lie. Create the possible service, don't just create what the market needs or wants. Create what it would love.